Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is the Dwight Schrute. To my Michael Scott, I give you Mark Souza.
I like Dwight Schrute.
Yes, but you're the assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, but some people would say that Dwight Schrute really makes the show.
Well, you could say that Jim also makes the show.
That's true. My favorite Jim quote is when he says, I wouldn't say that I'm superstitious. I'd say that I'm just a little.
That's a Michael quote.
Oh, sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. You're right.
Come on, man.
You were saying Michael. You were saying Michael, then you switched to Jim. Then you said
my favorite Jim. Come on,
I screwed it up. But you know what? That is still a very good quote.
That is a great quote.
But, yeah, basketball action to talk about.
I want to talk about The Office now.
So please join us on the Office podcast.
I wish. Oh my, I would totally do that.
That would be interesting.
We would talk about every episode. Oh, that would be amazing. Anyways, we were going to talk about every game yesterday in the NBA world, as well as today's games, and even we're going to preview some of this weekend's games too, because there are some interesting games going on this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to start off with yesterday's games with the Timberwolves and Lakers. Oh, yeah, and also in the last one of the last segments of the night, we'll talk about how Duke is the most dominant team of dominance. Dominant.
Yeah, that big game on Tuesday night. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, but anyways, we're going to start with the NBA. And the first game we're going to talk about is probably the key game of yesterday was the Lakers win over the Timberwolves, 114-110. LeBron James had his pretty good game himself, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists.
He's a pretty good player, huh, that LeBron guy?
Almost a triple-double. Yeah, I mean... He's no Michael
Jordan. He might have a future in this league, you know?
Yeah, that 38-year-old.
Come on, man. He's only like 33, 34.
It feels like he's been around since, 18? So 20 years, it feels like, in the league.
He has.
Jimmy Butler had a pretty good game himself, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. There was no... Karl Anthony Towns was basically nowhere to be found with 13 points, 9 rebounds.
Have you seen me? He was on the back of a milk carton or what?
Well, 13 points should not be when your top player does that. And 6 turnovers caused by Karl Anthony Towns, by the way.
Yikes.
But Derrick Rose turns back the clock yet again with a 31-point game, 31 points and 5 assists and 3 rebounds. I don't know where this is coming from him, but he's playing extremely well, earning that starting position. And the other point guard across from him was Lonzo Ball, who only had 3 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 21 minutes of action, which seems like a little.
Yeah.
And did you hear what Stephen A. Smith said the other day?
What did he say? He probably said the Los Angeles Lakers.
No, yes, but he did say they should trade Brandon Ingram.
Okay. Did he say for who? Or did he just, was it
I think he was talking about one of the things about wanting more shooters, and I'm not sure he was talking anything specific. But I don't know, trading Brandon Ingram, who's your future, who's not playing terrible, and I don't know, it just feels like that's the wrong move.
Yeah, that sounds premature at this point. I mean, you do want to surround LeBron with shooters, and I do still question the roster buildup, the roster makeup that they have.
Brandon Ingram went 2 or 3 from three-point land, so it wasn't like he did terrible. But do you know that
he's just not really like a shooter?
The starting 5 for the LA Lakers, 3 of them are small forwards. That's their primary position.
Yeah, but that makes
Ingram,
sense in today's NBA.
Kuzma. I just think that's funny to me. Like usually you don't.
Well, Kuzma's
I guess Wiggins and Butler are also
Kuzma's more of a
forwards.
4. He might be listed as a small forward, but he's more of a 4 in today's NBA. But
I think the talk of this is not just the Lakers' win, but Derrick Rose's performance. He's starting to bounce back in a major way than anyone expected.
absolutely, Derrick Rose.
Let's just cross our fingers and hope he gets injured.
Derrick Rose is playing at a very high level. It has now put together a couple really good performances. I mean, my fear of Derrick Rose is that he gets played too many minutes and then he suffers like another injury. That's my biggest fear. I hope it doesn't happen. But it has been fun. It has been really nice to see him get back some of that ability that he had. He was, people forget that he was an MVP in this league. Even sometimes I forget about that.
I think people remember that. They just think it's ancient history now, which is understandable because of his injuries and because it was.
He hasn't been relevant in a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's not his fault though. It's just injuries.
Oh no, it's not his fault at all. Injuries have just have taken away his talent.
You know what happens. You know, like poop happens.
It's very unfortunate. But one thing that's noticeable from this game, I feel like Karl Anthony Towns, when Jimmy Butler plays, I don't know if he's just like pouting. I don't know if he's trying to make a statement.
Are you trying to say that this is like him making it like him doing this on purpose?
I
He's
think
intentionally
so.
having
I
bad
think
games?
Karl Anthony Towns is immature a little bit. I really do. I will say that because I don't like his body language. I don't like how he carries himself. He should be the leader of this team. And if they do trade Jimmy Butler, who do you think becomes the player that everybody looks at in that locker room? It's going to be Karl Anthony Towns. And to me, he doesn't exude leadership. And I don't know if he's purposely playing poorly when Butler, or he's not trying as hard when Butler's on the floor. But when you look at his numbers, Jeff, you just talked about it. 13.6 turnovers? Come on.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Like he can handle the basketball. He's not turnover prone. And he can score. That's inexcusable to me. Wouldn't you say? Would you agree with that? Or
Oh no, I would absolutely agree. Like when you a center causing 6 turnovers seems absurd to me.
And you're playing against JaVale McGee and Tyson Chandler, who just got signed like 2 days ago. I mean, it's not like he's playing against Hassan Whiteside or somebody who's like a guy who's physical and can really like make it a tough night for him. Like, come on, you should be able to do a little bit better than that. I just feel like there's something off there. And if I'm a Wolves fan, I start to wonder if Karl Anthony Towns is my future. I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. So,
What do you see?
I personally, I'll say it again. We've talked about it on this podcast before. I personally think the Timberwolves should keep Butler and trade Karl Anthony Towns and try and get a king's ransom, because I think that whatever they get for Butler, they can get for Karl Anthony Towns, because he's still viewed as a up-and-coming franchise-type player. His value is still very high. I just like Jimmy Butler's tenacity. I like what he brings to the table. Yes, he's an older player, but he's still a few years away from declining, in my opinion. So that's my take.
Yeah. Good take.
You want to move on to a different game that happened last night?
It's up to you.
Okay.
I'll let you pick this time.
I'll pick. How about we go to a game where we have one team, both teams actually, surprising in their own right. Denver Nuggets have started off the season in impressive fashion. They took on Memphis Grizzlies last night. Memphis, also impressive. We know that Memphis last year was one of the worst teams in the league. But this year, they are now 6-4. They beat the Denver Nuggets. Impressive. 89-87. Very low-scoring basketball game in 2018. But they get the win. They improve, like I mentioned, to 6-4. Gasol had some key free throws at the end of the game to seal the victory. Jeff, before I go into the stats of last night's game, are you surprised by this Grizzlies team?
For this win against
for this season, they're 6-4. I mean, just overall, this win too. Yes,
they've been playing decent, but beating this great team in the Nuggets, who are becoming a serious contender.
Yeah, 9-2.
Yeah, is a serious accomplishment and a statement game, in my opinion. Like,
big time.
I know there's 82 games in a season and so much can happen, but these wins really mean something. I mean, every time you play in a top contender team and you win, that's so much.
You know, we talk about it being a long season, but we're about an eighth of the way through the season. Like, the season's going, you know what I mean? Like, it's a long season, but it's not here in about a month, here in about 2 months, it's going to be about almost half over, maybe half over at that point. So it is nice to see Memphis bounce back. We know that they had a lot of injuries last year. Gasol, Conley. I mean, when you get decimated like that in today's NBA, when you lose your two best players, you're not going to have a good season. There's maybe one team in the NBA that can do that. That's the Warriors. But even still, if they lost their two best players, they wouldn't have nearly as good of a year. But Memphis with Jaren Jackson, the rookie, I liked him in college, thought he could be a really good pro. 20 points last night on 15 shots. He was 2 of 5 from 3. So they have Jackson playing alongside Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, 20 points.
Do you think Marc Gasol should call it quits? Him and his brother should call it quits.
No, well, Marc Gasol is still playing very well. 20 and 12.
How old is he? He's got to be in his 30s, right?
Yeah, he is. But Marc Gasol, 20, 12, and 4 last night. So him and Jaren Jackson on that front line combined for 40 points, 19 boards, 4 assists. Mike Conley had a very, very low-key game. Only scored 4 points in 36 minutes.
That should not be happening in the NBA.
The thing is, though, when your team only scores 89 and two guys count for 40 of it, yeah, there's probably going to be a dud somewhere, and it was his dud last night.
Paul Millsap also had a kind of a dud, too, you can say, all things considered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 points. Wow, that's definitely a dud for him. Harris was the only player that really...
And Garrett Temple had only 5 points. He's usually a good scorer, too.
Yeah, just a very defensive game. I mean, you look at...
Defensive game or boring game?
Well, you look at it, and the Grizzlies shot 43% and 38 from 3, but they only attempted 21 threes. They don't shoot a lot of them. And then on the other side, Denver shot 32 threes and only made 8. So you see that there was only 16 three-pointers scored in this entire basketball game, which in 2018 is super low.
The Grizzlies had 3 technical fouls, though.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Is DeMarcus Cousins on their team? Or?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he got somehow one player got 3 technical
Rasheed
fouls.
Wallace came out of retirement and played and joined the
Do you
Grizzlies?
remember? Have you seen the video of him not even talking to the ref? The ref ejects him from the game. He just stares at him.
He probably said something though, right? Like under his breath.
No, the ref was mic'd. He goes, "Time out, LA." Rasheed Wallace says nothing. Rasheed Wallace says nothing, and he goes, "Whack, you're out." He goes, and then one of his teammates goes, "What? He didn't say anything." He was pointing at me, he was staring at me, trying to intimidate me. I wasn't gonna have it. I'm like, I didn't know he was trying to intimidate you. He just stared at you for a half a second.
Are you sure that he's not that Rasheed Wallace isn't a ventriloquist though? He could have said something without moving his lips. You know, he could have been like.
But you would have heard it because the ref was mic'd.
Yeah, ref, you suck. You know, like,
the ref was mic'd. You would have heard him.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to give old Rasheed Wallace benefit of the doubt. How about we move on?
I'm defending him. You're saying he said something. I'm
true.
giving him the benefit of the doubt.
That's true. I'm giving the ref the benefit of the doubt. Refs never get enough benefits of the doubt. So
you're kidding, right?
Why don't we move on? What game would you like to talk about next?
I don't know. I'm like a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Let's go Bulls and Pelicans. Bulls
wrapped in plastic. It's fantastic.
I don't know the rest of that song, so it's sad that you do. Does your wife sing that song?
Weird song, dude.
Well, your kids are going to be singing it one day. Anyways, Pelicans win this one 107-98. It was a pretty great game for Anthony Davis. 32 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Drew Holiday also 17 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. Almost a triple-double for him.
I feel like you could call a band Anthony Davis and the Pelicans, you know? That's like a cool band name, you know? Like an old-timey.
I think they would get sued, though.
Well, what if it was just Anthony Davis and the actual Pelicans on the team, you know?
If it was them, that's fine. But if it was just a random band that got like popular, then they'll have to have probably some ramifications.
So Anthony Davis, he did well. You were saying?
Yes, I mean 15 rebounds alone is impressive.
32, yeah, 15. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
7 assists too. That's a nice game.
Yes, absolutely.
So the Pelicans finally get over their losing streak. They had lost 6 straight.
Woo, good for them. Congratulations. We should have a party.
Mm-hmm. So, any other notable performances from that game? Holiday almost had a triple-double.
I talked about that.
17, 10, and 9.
I said 32, 15, 7 for Davis, 17, 10, and 9 for Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Levine had 22, 5 and 4. I mean, there wasn't really much else to talk about.
Wendell Carter,
it's really
11.
throwing you off when there's two guys named Holiday and they both have the letter J.
Justin and Drew, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, you see, like, I have the stats here and I have to go back and forth. Look at my phone real quick. I go back and forth. The name doesn't change because they're both point guards.
Yeah.
It really throws you off. I'm like, is my phone messed up?
I believe they're brothers, too, so...
They both got 17 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're brothers, but I'm going to make sure.
They do everything the same, you know?
What does that mean?
I don't know. But let's move on to the 76ers and the Pacers.
Sure.
The Sixers finally end their road struggles. They get a road win against the Pacers.
Justin Holiday is his brother, by the way. It's confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Pacers lose this game to the Sixers 100-94. Joel Embiid, 20 points, 10 rebounds. But Ben Simmons, very close to having a triple-double. Another near triple-double. We saw a couple of these last night. 16, 10, and 8 for Ben Simmons. Markelle Fultz, though, he continues to struggle. 7 points in 26 minutes last night. He was 3 of 7.
I'm worried about him if I'm a 76ers fan.
Yeah, I am too.
Because he's the first overall pick. He should not be playing like Anthony Bennett. He should be playing like Kyrie Irving.
You know what's crazy? J.J. Redick was 0 for 7 from 3 last night. He is normally a knockdown three-point shooter.
Yeah, 0 for 7 is pretty rough, and he still got 10 points, but he also shot, I think he had free throws. Yeah, he had 6 free throws. So
Oladipo just, obviously, he had a great game. He led the Pacers with 36 points, 6 boards, 7 assists. Of the 94 points, he scores 36 of them, 14 of 30 shooting, although he was only 4 of 14 from 3. So maybe not his best, most efficient.
Percentage-wise,
yeah.
No. He could have had a lot more.
But he was phenomenal.
Didn't we just talk about that? Like how dads are, like his dad was probably like, you could have gotten like 50 points, son. Make those threes.
Yeah, he was 10 of 16 from 2. And then 4 of 14 from 3. So
I guess he's not really a 3-point shooter now officially.
Yeah, his 3-point shot wasn't clicking on all cylinders last night. But to be fair, the Pacers really weren't clicking on all cylinders as they only shot 39% as a team and 26% from 3. So definitely not a good night for the Pacers shooting wise.
Absolutely not. No, but they do.
They do fall to 7-5 though. They've had a good start to their season.
So I was trying to figure out what their record was, and it wasn't showing me. But yeah, 7-5. It's pretty rough. I mean, just you can't really fall back in either conference, and falling back in the Eastern Conference especially feels like it's hard to get back up from.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say we take a break? We come back. We'll finish up last night's games.
Okay. Well, we got a lot more games to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about a key game coming up tonight out on the West Coast, and then what we can do in segment 3. We're going to talk about Duke basketball because last time we were here, it was on the eve of Duke's first game. We'll talk about that game.
And I'm going to ask the question, can they beat a certain NBA team? We'll be right back.
He will ask the question.
We'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We've just talked about the few games that are going on in the world of sports of basketball yesterday. Like that, world of sports of basketball. That made sense. And we got more games to talk about. What's the next game on the agenda, Mark?
Let's talk about the Mavericks and the Jazz.
Do we have to?
We do. Let's talk about how the Jazz improved to 5 wins, 6 losses. Not the start they wanted, but at least they get a win last night. 117 to 102. I did want to note, though, Luka Doncic, another good game for the rookie. 35 minutes played. He scored 24 points on 14 shots. Very efficient. 3 of 4 from 3. 6 boards. 2 assists. He's having a pretty good start to his rookie
Ricky Rubio
campaign.
had a double-double himself, 10 points, 12 assists.
Gotcha. What do you think about Luka's start to his career, though? Are you impressed?
Solid start, solid numbers, can't complain.
I think you'd say he's the front runner at today, right, for Rookie of the Year? He edges Ayton for sure.
To be determined for me.
Yeah, to be determined, but as of right now, would you say he's impressed you more than Ayton or Bagley or Trae Young or Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Well, Bagley's not starting. Trae Young's sloppy at certain games. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'll go Doncic. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the Jazz win, though. You mentioned Rubio had a double-double with assists.
Speaking of other rookies, the Kings and the Raptors played. Raptors win this one 114-105, improved to 11-1. That's pretty darn impressive.
That is very impressive.
Kawhi Leonard returned to the lineup yesterday, had a 25-11 in 2 games, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. Serge Ibaka had a 14 points, 14 assists. Kyle Lowry was 16 points and 8 assists to his credit.
Serge Ibaka was only 6 of 10 last night after being 23 of 25 in his previous 2 games. So that's a terrible performance, right?
Yeah, I guess. Still 14-14.
He is on fire
As
right
for
now.
Bagley, the second overall pick in the draft, 13 points, 3 rebounds. Not the best kind of numbers, but
couple blocks, yeah.
But still solid for the rookie. I mean,
yeah, he's been impressive.
Frank Mason also off the bench played pretty decent. He only had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, but he only had 7 minutes of play, so he did a lot in those 7 minutes. I feel like he should get more playing time. That's just my opinion. But Bogdan Bogdanovic returned to the lineup for the Kings too after a knee injury. He was very overwhelmed by the ovation he got going in, so good for him. But you got to look at the Raptors, 11-1. This team looks like they won't lose another game almost. 81-1. Should we just call it right now? 81-1.
Yeah, probably not. But man, you're right though. They've been super impressive. Not just Kawhi Leonard, who had a good game, but Ibaka has been playing great. Siakam, he's an interesting player that doesn't get a lot of talk, but he was really good last night. And then you got Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry.
I almost said Kyrie Irving.
I almost said Kyrie Lowry. That was weird. Kyle Lowry.
If they had a baby together.
If Kyle Lowry is,
or they fusion like in Dragon Ball Z.
He's playing at a very high level right now, and if he continues to play like that, and Kawhi continues to play like that, and the rest of those role players do their jobs, they could definitely make it to the NBA Finals. I think right now they're the most impressive team in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, hands down.
Mm-hmm. You got a guy like Valanciunas coming off the bench. That is not a bad player. That's a double-double off your bench. And he can do it. He can do it in 20, 25 minutes every night because he's a rebounding machine.
Or 30, 35 minutes, or 40, 45 minutes, or 60, 65
yeah,
minutes.
You look at last night, 20 minutes played, he had 11 and 10. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super efficient game for him. Anunoby is a great player off the bench to have, too, as he can defend. Just a nice swing man. The Raptors are looking real solid, Jeff.
The Raptors are looking like the Predators that their mascot is. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah. So what other game would you like to talk about?
Other games I'd like to talk about. That's an interesting question. Let's go to the Knicks and Hawks.
Knicks and Hawks, okay.
We have to talk about all of them. I know that's a boring game, but we have to talk about it. Knicks beat the Hawks 112-107. Trae Young, 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, but goes 6 and 19 from the field, so doesn't have the best game. But then you look on the other side, Tim Hardaway Jr., 34 points, but 8 of 22. The reason he got 34 points was a 16 for 20 from the line, which is absolutely incredible. And another rookie out of Arizona, Alonzo Trier, 16 points, 4 rebounds. So pretty good game for him as well.
Yeah, maybe the most forgettable game of the night.
You're the most forgettable game of the night.
Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome.
Trae Young, I'm glad they're letting him play a lot of minutes, though. Just let him struggle, let him go through it. He'll have good games, he'll have terrible games, but for him, it's just important to get a lot of minutes this year and kind of hone in on his skills and make his future as bright as possible with the experience that he gains from this year. How about we transition to Thunder? Feel the thunder.
I thought you were going to feel the heat.
Lightning and the thunder.
We can do the heat for thunder first, then heat.
So we'll go Thunder first. 95-86 as they beat Cleveland. Cleveland falls to 1-10. They are the opposite of the Raptors. 95-86 again. Westbrook did not play, as he is.
Schroeder goes 28 points, though.
Yeah,
That's
big
impressive.
game for him in replacement of Westbrook. And we saw Paul George 18-7. Really, this game, though, is mostly about how bad the Cleveland Cavaliers are.
Yes, they are bad.
They are absolutely not a good basketball team, especially when Kevin Love is injured. So
that's how much of a factor LeBron James is. When you lose him, you're dead in the water.
Their rookie point guard Colin Sexton led their team in points, 15 points. He had 2 rebounds and 1 assist. We saw J.R. Smith get to play and start yesterday, 13 points. Yeah, this team shot 37%. They shot 29% from 3. The Cleveland Cavaliers are on the verge of maybe setting some bad records this year. We'll see how this season kind of plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we got the Heat and the Spurs. Heat upset the Spurs 95-88. Hassan Whiteside, holy moly guacamole, 29 points, 20 rebounds, and 9 blocks.
He could have got one more block.
For the most interesting triple-double of the year?
You know how we were talking about how sometimes players will pad their stats, like they'll go for that extra rebound. What if one of his players took a shot and he swatted it? He's like, I need my 10th block.
I'm pretty sure that wouldn't count.
So would it count as a missed shot for the guy who shot it?
I don't really know. I don't think it's ever happened before, so I don't. It's not like it's semi-pro. Will Ferrell stops him to get corn dogs.
What would happen if you shot the ball and your teammate swatted it? Would you just count you as a missed shot? That would be unfortunate.
I would beat the crap out of my teammate. I mean, what the heck are you doing?
What if it was an accident?
How do you accidentally swat somebody?
I can tell you how. 2 guys go for the rebound. One guy grabs it and puts back, but the other guy has his hand up as he's coming down and hits.
How high is he jumping? He's still in the air after that?
Yeah, like maybe a small guy and a big guy next to each other.
Okay, if it ever happens,
like, limbs.
If a player accidentally ever swats their own teammate, I will.
It's happened.
If it hasn't.
It's happened before.
Like some of those were intentional by accident. Like
accident.
I didn't mean to. Okay, next time that happens, I will wear a dress to work.
So if I can find a clip in the next
no, it has to happen.
Yeah, in the next few days. Like if I find in the next few days, and you'll wear a dress to work.
It can't be from the European League.
No, if I find an NBA player that accidentally blocks his own player, then that happens from here on out. Then you'll wear a dress the following show.
I guess I don't know who's gonna want to see me in a dress. I don't have a dress, so.
But you will. You said you would.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll wear a dress. It's not gonna happen.
No,
so.
It'll probably happen tonight. He'll be like,
no way.
ESPN not top 10, number 1, man blocks.
Way.
NBA player blocks his teammate, and you'll be like, oh my god, it happened. All right.
I would quit. No, I wouldn't actually quit, but I would be upset.
The Heat win this game, and they don't even have Dragic or Dwayne Wade in this game, which is interesting.
Yeah, that game. Losing some of your key players is a big factor in your defeat or victory.
Yeah, so 95-88. What game do we have left? Do we talk about the Pistons and Magic?
Did we talk about them already?
I don't think we did. Okay. Drummond had 23 and 19. I know we didn't talk about that.
Griffin had 20 and 5 himself. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. Fournier had 27 for the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Gordon with 15-10. And I'm pretty sure he had that sweet alley-oop. Maybe that was the other game. I'm not sure. But bottom line, the fact of the matter is Pistons are good, Magic are not. Do we need to go on with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pistons are okay. I don't know. We'll see if they're good, but they're definitely better than the Magic, no question. That front line of Griffin and Drummond, they're always going to fill up the stat sheet with points and rebounds. So a tough ask when you play against them for your big men. But what do you say we take a look at tonight's... There's a big game tonight in the NBA.
There is.
Yeah, Milwaukee and the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, they travel out west.
I'm surprised you got that right.
They travel out west to play Golden State, who will be without Draymond Green. Do you think the Bucks can pull off an upset here?
It's a very interesting question.
Well, what do you think? No Draymond. Sounds like the Bucks don't have any injury news. I mean, that sounds like Draymond's the only notable injury of this matchup.
Yeah, he's going to be a factor in what they're missing.
So, what you're going to be watching this game?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everyone's going to be watching this game. The world will be watching.
Yeah. I wonder how Milwaukee will play the Warriors. I wouldn't be surprised if they stole a win here. But, because Draymond's not playing, it's going to be tough.
The Warriors win, but they steal the win and run away.
It's going to be tough. Who's going to guard the Greek Freak? Will it be Durant?
No way Durant's guarding him.
So who will it be?
Nobody. No one will stop him.
So they'll just all step aside when he gets the ball and let him dunk it?
Basically what's going to happen.
Somebody's going to have to try. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Durant because I don't really know who else would be. Iguodala off the bench. Maybe he tries his hand at stopping Giannis. Maybe they try and put Klay Thompson on him. But
I mean, they could try, but they will not be successful.
Yeah, it will be a bad time, I think, for whoever tries. But on the other side, you got Curry and Durant. Who's going to guard them, right? So it'll be a fun game tonight. I think I'm looking forward to it. Any other notable games that are happening tonight? Rockets, Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, they both are playing pretty sloppy, so I'm not going to call it a big time game anymore. But you could definitely call. I would say Celtics and Suns is more interesting because Ayton versus a dominant Eastern Conference team in the Celtics.
Yeah, for sure. How about Celtics? They play tonight against the Suns, but they play the Jazz tomorrow night.
That's going to be a fun game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a very fun game to watch will not be any of the other games.
76ers play at Memphis on Saturday night. Rockets at Spurs. That's some interesting matchups there.
Yeah, definitely.
Lakers Kings renew their rivalry.
It's been 16 years, man.
LeBron will now enter that rivalry.
I mean, is it still a rivalry?
Yeah, absolutely. Bucks Nuggets on Sunday. That is a game between two lost teams.
Two lost teams, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. I like when two of the best teams go head to head. So we'll see how each of them do.
Yeah. But what do you say we go to a break and come back and talk a little college basketball?
College basketball? Sure, why not?
College basketball. Who would have thought?
Let's
back.
do this. Let's do this. All right, we'll be right back. Bye. Well, not bye yet. Well, you know what I mean.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We just finished talking about all the games that are going to be happening yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and the weekend, and forever. Now we're moving on to college basketball as Duke basically destroys Kentucky, the number 2 team in the nation, to the number 4 team in the nation by a score 118-84.
Mm-hmm.
And this begs the question.
Hold on. Before we get to your question, let's talk about the game. They dominate 118-84. Coach Calipari's worst loss as a coach. Duke with their 3 impressive freshmen. Zion Williamson, who you all know. R.J. Barrett, who's the godson of Steve Nash. And other top 5 high school recruit Cam Reddish. All with their debut in college basketball. And they did not disappoint. R.J. Barrett had 33 points in 32 minutes. 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Zion Williamson, the freak that he is athletically, that guy is a monster. 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Cam Reddish, 22 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. These guys combined for 83 points of Duke's 118. How impressive was their debut, Jeff?
Yeah, it was more than impressive. It was a statement that this team is not to be trifled with and should be the number 1 team in the nation.
Right. We knew about Zion. We knew about these players. Like, we know about the Duke hype, but to see them do this on opening night against Kentucky, a very, very good team, maybe their biggest threat to win a national championship, was a statement in itself. Are we witnessing the beginning of an undefeated NCAA season? They win by 34 points against one of the top 5 teams in the country on opening night.
Well, I'm going to counter your question with another question.
Hold on. We're going to get to your question. I know what you're going to ask, but we got to build that up a little bit.
No, we don't.
Are we looking at an undefeated season?
I don't see it happening because of this round of 64, because this hasn't happened since the 70s. And when it happened with Indiana in 76, there was no round of 64. It was just 32. And the fact of the matter is there's a lot more games to be played, and there's a lot more. And that's such a tough deal. It's such a pill to swallow because this team has the capabilities of doing it, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll lose in the tournament, or do you think that they'll lose before the tournament? Or both? I
think they'll lose one game before the tournament, just one. I don't know when, I don't know where, but I feel. But
would you say that they're easily the favorite to win the national championship now?
Oh, hands down.
Do you think it's ridiculous that college basketball puts out preseason rankings?
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of pointless, isn't it? But you have to. Like, so you rank everyone, make sure games are
so watched. I kind of think it's dumb for football to do it, but I understand it in football because most of the players for college football are returning players, whereas they do get an influx of freshmen, but it's not like the freshmen make the team. Like, they make the team good or bad or great, from good to great. But in college basketball, and you know this as well as I do, a freshman can just completely change a team's outlook. Wouldn't you agree with that?
True, absolutely. And just bottom line is, I haven't seen a team this good. Like, this is like Fab 5 levels.
Zion is an athletic freak of nature. I feel like he is a bigger athletic force at this age than LeBron James was. And LeBron James was
that is arguable, absolutely.
Yeah, and LeBron James, granted, he didn't play college, but his rookie year in the NBA, he wasn't the LeBron that he was 3 or 4 years down the road in terms of he was still growing. His body was getting bigger. I mean, he was. You look at the film back then, the games that LeBron played his rookie year. He's a little bit skinnier. He's not skinny, but I mean, he's not the LeBron that we see now, the robot that he is now. You know,
the gigantic, the mecha. What's the word I'm looking for? Mecha LeBron.
So LeBron Zion is basically LeBron, what he would probably have been in if he played college. This Duke team looks phenomenal. They're 500 to 1, or excuse me, plus 500, not 500 to 1. That would have been incredible. They're plus 500 to win the national championship right now, which is, they're the odds-on favorite. So go ahead and ask that question that you have been dying to ask.
You know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, right. You can't go back now.
All right, fine. Do you see Duke Blue Devils defeating an NBA team?
So, but we'll just say the Cleveland Cavaliers
As the worst team? Sure, why not?
I don't think a college team can beat an NBA team.
I don't know, but you think it's going to be like a blowout.
Oh, yeah, it would definitely be a blowout.
You are delusional, sir.
I don't think I'm the delusional one in this conversation.
I'm sorry, I think it'll be at least a close game. Maybe they won't win, but it'll be close, not 50 points.
Yeah, it'd probably be at least a 50-point win.
Tweet at Mark Hella Gets It to say that he's wrong, because I know I got the majority of these people on my side.
I don't think so.
The millions and millions of people watching will say that you, sir, are overreacting when you say 50-point margin.
No, absolutely not. But you think that they would win in a game?
It's a good potential. It can happen.
If they played 10 times, how many times have you given them the win? Against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Duke Blue Devils against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
How Cleveland's been playing?
How many times
I'll give them
Duke
half.
win?
I'll give them 5 wins.
5? And I'm delusional? We're talking about pros.
Yeah, bad pros.
Still pros.
All those
They're
kids
not
are good.
18,
That starting
19 years old.
lineup, that starting lineup is going to be pros. Are you kidding me?
The 3 of them will be, for sure.
5 of them will be.
Right, but we also see guys that went to Duke that aren't exactly great NBA players. Like Grayson Allen has been a starter, and he's not even notable for the Jazz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Grayson Allen is a very different player than any one of those players.
But what I'm saying is not all 5 players are going to be like the best players in the NBA at that draft class. You know what I mean? Like, yeah 3 of the kids are top 5 recruits, for sure.
I just think you think that pros versus college is so far outside the length it's not even funny, but it's not true.
It's pretty true, man. I mean, I get it. Maybe Zion and Reddish and Barrett can help an NBA team today. That I don't disagree with, but no, there's no way.
But them working together can't beat an NBA team. That's what you're saying.
Guys like Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson would just dominate Duke. They would be.
No, I'm not.
Them.
Whoa! I didn't talk about if they were healthy. I'm talking about the team starting 5 right now for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, even right now. I was just talking about.
You're
Kevin
delusional,
Love.
Sir.
I hope that somebody tweets me and tells me that I'm wrong here. I would love to hear it.
If any celebrities or NBA players listen to our podcast, please tell them he's wrong.
NBA players would definitely not side with you.
I'm sorry, Zion? Zion is a LeBron James second coming. I'm sorry.
He probably is, and he probably will be a great NBA player.
College players, you probably will agree with me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, how about analysts, like actual analysts that work through this stuff, type of things for a living? Please tell him how he's wrong with about a 50-point margin. I understand losing, sure. 50-point margin, that's crazy.
Is it?
Yes. That's they're not like playing against children.
They really are.
They're playing against guys that are going to be in the NBA next season. They're playing.
Yes, they are. And we see players that are playing in the NBA that are rookies that are really good, like Ayton, like Luka Doncic, like Bagley, and all their teams are really bad. Yeah, they somehow.
I'm sorry, I think you're wrong. I think you're dead wrong on this.
I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I'm not on the losing end of this argument.
Okay, Donald Trump's president. Prove me wrong.
He is president.
Yeah, exactly.
He is president. That's a fact.
Yes.
Anyways.
And there's the fact that any team can beat any team at any time.
I don't even know what that means.
Any team can win a game at any time.
Yeah, but what you're saying is you just said that half the time that they would win. Like, you're telling me that they are just as good as the Cavaliers when you say half the time, right? If you predict one team to beat another team half as many times.
All right, fine. I'll say with confidence that this team can go undefeated.
Oh, in NCAA? For sure. I think Duke has a good chance to go undefeated. I don't think they will because, they play in a tough conference. But national champions, they have to be the favorite. This is an incredible group of talent they've assembled for this level. So, what do you say we take a break?
Okay. When we get back, I will be still right about the Duke Blue Devils beating the Cavaliers. Yeah, you will be wrong.
I don't think so, man.
Anyways, we will be right back right after this.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We're on the final stretch now for the day. We've been talking about every game that's happened in the last couple of days, including the games coming up for this weekend. We also had a Duke debate over if they could beat the Cavaliers. And now we are moving on to other news and notes that we should talk about. Most notably, the NBA All-Star Draft is going to be televised. Are you going to be watching it, Mark?
Well, we don't know if it's going to be televised, but it is
potentially going to be televised.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. LeBron is on board with it. He's talking about how it would be cool. He doesn't see a downside, is basically what he said. And I agree with him. I think that's good TV. I think that's fun. The NBA has been trying to do things that makes their players more visible, more interactive with the fans. I see it as a good move. What do you think?
I like it too. It's something different. I believe the NHL does this too. Mm-hmm. They do draft and they post it on, or they have it on television. So it's not like a brand new idea, but it's a smart idea.
Yeah. Do you see any downside to this happening?
The stadium collapsing and hurting people. That's about it.
Yeah, I just think it'll be fun for the fact that you see guys interact with each other. It might create like some fun little rivalries, like maybe Damian Lillard will be like, LeBron, like you should have picked me, like and then when they play against each other in a real NBA game, they'll be like, yeah, that was for that time when you chose Kyrie over me during the All-Star draft. So I think that's cool. I think it's fun. It gives a fan something to tune in about. Would you watch it? Would you go out of your way to watch it?
I would have it on in the background. I would just be doing chores or something and have it on in the background.
Yeah.
It is not a thing I would watch like with total like no one bother me type deal. It's not like the NFL draft or the NBA draft. It's not the regular draft.
No, it's not the regular draft, but maybe like an hour like of something fun like that where they interact with each other. I don't know where they would meet, maybe at like a gym or something, or maybe at like a restaurant.
Yeah, just have some watching them eat dinner. Yeah, that's entertaining.
I don't know. It would be fun though if they were doing something fun like other than playing basketball. So
what, going to a club and dancing? I don't know what you're getting at here.
No, like maybe bowling or something. Something
Bowling.
fun where they're all hanging out.
But what? Okay. How about they go on a yacht? Like one.
That'd be cool. I mean, what's the alternative? Them sitting in chairs in an empty gym, be like, okay, well, I pick you and you pick me. Okay. I wanted to talk about
you pick me. That's how it's gonna work.
I want to talk about the Ball family for a moment.
Sure.
LaMelo and LiAngelo are leaving Lithuania. LaMelo will be enrolling at the Spire Prep Academy in Geneva, Ohio. He will be returning back to high school basketball. Do you think this is a good move for LaMelo at least to come back and play in the States and leave Lithuania?
Yeah, I can agree with that. But it was weird from the beginning when he moved him to what country?
Lithuania.
Like what? And then did you see they had a reality show too?
Yep.
And he was like
Ball in the Family or something.
Something stupid. And then LeVar is like, "Oh no, my son should be starting," and stuff. Like, I'm sorry, you cannot tell a professional basketball coach, I don't care what country, and what to do. You're not a coach. And to be honest, one of the reasons I think he's not really involved in Lonzo Ball anymore, and not talking about him, because Lakers told him to shut his mouth. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. I almost guarantee it.
So at Spire Academy in Ohio, Michigan State commit Rocket Watts. Yes, his name is Rocket Watts.
I love those parents for naming him there.
And five-star junior Isaiah Jackson both play there. So there is some good players that he'll be around. We'll get to see how he meshes.
Can this Rocket guy please have to play for the Rockets? Please, he has to play for the Rockets.
Well, if the Rockets give up 4 first-round picks, then I don't think he will. But we'll see if they actually...
Is that still on the table?
I mean...
I feel like it should be off the table by now because it's been like 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, if you offered it and they haven't traded Butler, I feel like that's kind of they're just waiting for a call back. We'll see. And then LiAngelo, the other Ball,
the one that what did he do again?
He went to Lithuania too, but he is now going to be.
No, he did a crime of some kind, right?
Oh, he stole something in China, right?
Yeah, and he almost. Oh yeah, with UCLA with players. So like, why would you? Never mind.
Yeah.
Continue.
So
he's going back to college.
He's actually going to the G League because he can't play college.
Right. So he's going. Okay, what G League team has he signed with? The team?
I'm not sure as of yet. It might be out there, but I wanted to talk about. We talked about earlier. Draymond Green. He won't be playing tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. So his Defensive Player of the Year candidacy will not get a boost tonight because he would have been able to guard Giannis, at least attempt to. Maybe that would have put him in the spotlight.
I'm assuming they're going to play one more game with each other. That's how it works, right?
Yes, they will. The Toronto Raptors, Norman Powell, he's likely to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a left shoulder injury. He signed a 4-year, $42 million contract with Toronto, and
add a bunch of taxes to that, though.
He is not playing for 4 to 6 weeks. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks, they might be getting some salary cap relief as Mirza Teletovic had a career-ending injury last year.
Say that 3 times fast.
Mirza Teletovic.
Not bad.
So he is owed $10 million on his contract, but he had a career-ending injury, and it sounds like the Bucks are expected to meet the criteria needed to receive that cap space relief from the NBA. They did decide to stretch that over the 3 years that you can. But because of a career-ending injury, it seems like they will not have to pay out that money, which makes complete sense as a player has retired from the NBA. So I think that's all that I have for news.
Yeah, it was a pretty slow news day when it comes to basketball. When it comes to games, it was not slow at all. It was fast-paced, except for maybe a couple of games. We won't get into that. But tune us in on Tuesday when we return to Basketball Podcast. We will talk about the games that are happening on the weekend. Hopefully there'll be some news to talk about. If you want to listen to our other podcasts about sports, we have the sports podcast, we have the football podcast, we have the baseball podcast, and we have the soccer podcast, and even fantasy football podcast. So if you want to listen to any one of those, please sure to check it out on the GSMC Podcast Network. Look up on podcasts and look up any of those. Just type in GSMC Podcast, and you should be able to find us.
Yep, that's it. We'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.